Hello and welcome to Fisher Sports Desk. I'm Sloan Martin alongside Eddie Ramos. We have a lot of postseason news for the three fall sports, but we'll first start with football. The football team came into Saturday's game against host Springfield in a familiar position, a bye week after a disappointing and tough loss. The same thing happened several weeks ago when Fisher was stuck in a bye week coming off a surprisingly bad loss to Salisbury and were forced to look ahead to a game against Empire 8 heavyweight Ithaca College. The Cardinals responded in that situation with a convincing 40-17 win over the Bombers. This trend repeated itself this weekend as Fisher defeated the Springfield Pride 34-7. The Cardinals shut out the Pride at one point leading 34-0 until the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. Similarly, Fisher entered this game after a back-and-forth loss against Alfred October 24th that bumped them out of the top spot in the Empire 8 Conference standings. Fisher was strong in all facets of the game, but junior quarterback Tim Bailey was especially impressive. Bailey threw 21 for 28 for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. If that weren't enough of a performance, he also ran the ball 8 times for 79 yards. He compiled a total of 417 yards of offense himself, which set a Fisher record. With the absence of freshman running back Christian Zamitis, who is out for the season with a knee injury, Brad Carlton had no problem taking on the load offensively. Carlton had 19 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 106 receiving yards and another touchdown. His 3-touchdown performance was a career high for the senior. Dan Witkowski also had a 100-yard performance, adding 102 receiving yards with a touchdown. Defensively, the Cardinals thwarted Springfield's top 15 nationally ranked offense. Over the season, the Pride averaged over 450 yards per game. Fisher held the team to just 183. In addition, Springfield is second nationally in rushing yards per game since they run a triple option offense. For the season, they averaged about 420 yards of rushing offense. Again, the Cardinals held them to 154. Senior Andy Episcopo led the way with 11 tackles and a forced fumble. Springfield transfer and first-year Fisher player Brendan Moore totaled 10 tackles and a fumble recovery. Chris Sawyer also added 8 tackles and a sack. Despite the disheartening Alfred loss 2 weeks ago, this game had big playoff implications for the Cardinals. With this win, Fisher has a chance to clinch at least a share of the Empire 8 Conference title with a win next week at Hartwick. Looking at the Empire 8 Conference standings, Fisher is tied with Alfred at 3-1, a 3-1 conference record. Alfred lost to Ithaca last week 31-10 for their first conference loss of the season. That accounts for the tie. Springfield and Ithaca are right behind with a 3-2 conference record, which adds more pressure on Fisher for this week's game against Hartwick. Due to their performances against Springfield, quarterback Tim Bailey and linebacker Andy Episcopo have been honored by the Empire 8 Conference. Both Fisher players swept the weekly conference honors, taking the Empire 8 Offensive and Defensive Players of the Week award, respectively. Running back Brad Carlton was also honored this week. ESPN The Magazine named Carlton an academic All-American, All-District first-team selection. Carlton, a computer science major, has maintained a 3.9 grade point average throughout his college career. Being named to the team gives Carlton a chance of being named an All-American at the end of the season. I had a chance to sit down with the senior this week and discuss the football team, his season individually, and the hopes for the NCAA championship bid.